Now my dad, anytime my dad is driving around now, he's listening to Les Mis. So he's just driving around, just being like, "Do you hear the people singing the songs of angry men? Master of the house, keeper of the zoo." He loves Les Mis. So I want to talk to that chaperone after Wicked because I think he's going to enjoy the show. So I make a beeline as they walk out, and I was like, "Hey, what'd you think?" He's like, "Kevin, oh my gosh, that show was incredible. I love the story. I love the songs." He's like, "I even got a cast album." I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to listen to it when I get back down to Texas. I'm going to be driving around singing Defying Gravity. I'm going to find a guy. I'm going to suck his dick." So I am forced by my mom to audition for the school play. And little did I know it was a musical called You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Now, I was on the basketball team, and I wanted to be on the basketball team. I told my mom, I was like, "I love playing basketball." And in our town, you had to play everybody for 4 minutes a game. The games are 30 minutes long. Everyone has to play 4 minutes. I always played 4 minutes, okay? So my mom is like, "Audition for the school play. I think there's a better way that we can all as a family spend our time than going to your basketball games and seeing you on the bench." And I'm like, "All right." So I go audition for You're a Good Man, Charlie. And I walk in, and I don't know what the director thought, but I think when I walked in, she said, "Oh my gosh, an insecure adolescent boy who's bad at sports and prematurely balding. Holy fucking shit, it is Charlie Brown." So I got Charlie Brown, and I got to perform in it, and I loved it. It changed my life. After that, I was like, I don't even want to be on the basketball team. I'm excited for next year's school play. And next year, we did Grease. Next year, we were in Grease, okay? Now, Grease, I don't know if you guys have rewatched it. Just imagine a bunch of kids just singing Grease, because there's some stuff that is pretty odd to listen to now. Like, here's a line from Summer Nights. Like, tell me more, did she put up a fight? They're basically just like, "Hey Danny, did you rape Sandy?" And he's like, whoa, I don't want to talk about it. I want to sing about it. Now the end of Grease, you may remember, Sandy, she's the good girl. At the end, she starts dressing sexy, she starts smoking, and everyone's blown away. She gives in to peer pressure, and then she just says, "Tell me about it, stud." Remember that? Did you know there's a sequel called Grease 2? Grease 2, it's a real movie. Michelle Pfeiffer plays Sandy in Grease 2. And in Grease 2, it's interesting because the end of Grease 1, she gives into peer pressure, she starts smoking. The beginning of Grease 2, she has a tracheotomy, and she's just like, "I should have never started this bad habit. This was a horrible mistake. Oh, Danny, I love you." So after You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown and Grease, I told my parents I want to go to theater camp. So they found me a theater camp, and I went to theater camp, and I kept a journal while I was at theater camp. Yeah! Now, I'm a little bit older. My prose is a little more advanced, okay? June 15th, 2002. Well, it's day one at theater camp. There are only a few guys here. It's mostly girls. I know I have a lot to learn, but I have a work ethic and a desire to learn as much as possible. The group question today is, why are you here? The answer? To learn everything humanly possible. I want to be a great actor, writer, director, anything to do with theater. I want to be great at everything. Performing, writing, sets, costumes. And I think with hard work, I will leave this camp in 2 weeks with the knowledge to do just that. Day 2. Am I learning about acting? Yes. But also about people. Can I handle some of them? No. Can I hide it? Yes. I'm also having a hard time sharing my attention. I mean, at Hoover High School Drama Club, I am it. It's me me. But here I have to share the spotlight. It looks like I'll have to earn respect. And this camp is just a taste of the real world. Day 3. I love theater and I can be anyone on stage. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you have 1 line or 100 lines. It doesn't matter unless you affect a life. Day 5. Amalia, our counselor, is my favorite person here. From the moment I saw her do her monologue from the Diary of Anne Frank, I knew I had a crush. She is Jewish and could really understand the character like someone else who is not. I have a thing for her, but boys will be boys, huh? Day 7. Today I feel how much I'm going to be getting out of this camp. I hate that it will end. I want to be around these people 24/7. They're also open-minded and accepting of one another. You never have to worry about sounding stupid or feeling dumb. There's a definite trust here. It's not just a camp. It's a fellowship of friends. Day 8. I spent the whole night discussing religion, college, and sexuality with our counselor, Matt Z. While Niall, Evan, and Nick all looked at porn together in the other room. Matt is really cool, and I got to talk to him about being gay. I told him a lot of my friends think I'm gay. It's probably because I wear tight clothes and I love theater. I've never wondered if I am gay, but I have certainly tried to see if I am. I just get bogged down with people thinking I'm gay, so I want to make sure. The thing is that gay no longer means attracted to the same sex. It now means likes tight clothes, theater, and singing. And if that's the definition, then I can admit that yes, I am gay, but not homosexual. Final day. During the final performance, I was afraid I would mess up my lines. I didn't, because I let my lines come to me, not me coming to my lines. I still don't know what that means, but I've become so much from this camp. I've gained patience and friends. I've lost my clean mouth. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that at this camp I started swearing a lot more. Either that or I gave my counselor Matt Z a blowjob. It's one of the two. On my way home now. Don't ask me how it happened, but this camp slipped through my hands like hands full of sand. I made a new family, but this one will never be together again. I learned about Jewish beliefs and culture from Amalia, and I learned about gay people from Matt. Our acting teacher even said I should go into acting, but I'd have to work on both my voice and my movement. The two elements of acting. You know the feeling when you know something for sure? Well, I guess I do if I'm asking myself. I'm certain that theater is it for me. I love entertaining people and role-playing others' lives. All I need is a chance and I can transform into anyone. I didn't cry today. But I will miss these people so much, and I had one of the best times of my entire life. When I grow up, I know what I want to be. But I don't just want to be an actor. I want to be an artist. Yep, that's right. An artist who paints on this palette we call the stage. Now, imagine that boy would find out that he'd grow up, he'd move to New York, and he'd get to work in theater. And not only that, but he would get to become colleagues with one of the great American playwrights, probably the most influential African-American playwright in America. Okay, so I teach kids chestnut. That's my day job. And I got an email from a new client, and I recognized her name because I studied her plays in college. Right? She's won a Pulitzer Prize. She's been nominated for 2 more. Not only that, but the New York Times said that one of her plays is the best American play of the past 25 years. So I saw her signature, and I thought, oh my gosh, she wanted her son to learn chess. So I show up to her door. When she opens the door, I know exactly who it is because I've seen her picture on the inside of the plays that I read in college. Like, so I'm looking for any chance I can talk to her about theater, talk to her about her process, connect on a normal level, and I go week after week after week. And then one day, after about a year of knowing her, she showed up, and she opens the door and she just starts telling me about this new play that she's working on for Broadway. And I'm over the room, I'm asking her questions, she's answering them, then she starts telling me about this script she's working on for HBO. She asked me what I do. And I'm like, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a comedian as well. She's asking me questions. We're just going back and forth. And in my head, I'm freaking out. I am over the moon. It's one of the highlights of my life. And then she says, Dylan, her son, she's like, you know, Dylan, I think he wants to be white. What? She's like, I think Dylan wants to be white. And I was like when he grows up? She was like, what? I was like, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Like, he wants to be white when he grows up? She said, no. And I'm freaking out. I am for HBO. She asked me what I do. And I'm like, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a comedian as well. She's asking me questions. We're just going back and forth. And in my head, I'm freaking out. I am over the moon. It's one of the highlights of my life. And then she says, Dylan, her son, she's like, you know, Dylan, I think he wants to be white. What? She's like, I think Dylan wants to be white. And I was like when he grows up? And she was like, what? I was like, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Like, he wants to be white when he grows up? And she said, no. And we turned, and Dylan was setting up all of the white chess pieces on the chessboard. And I was like, yeah, that makes more sense. That's why I come here, to teach chess. And I went and I sat down, and right looking down at me, she had a giant poster of James Baldwin. And he was just like, had his hands like this, was staring right at me. It was like he was just saying, like, when he grows up? What the fuck is that supposed to mean, Kevin? I'm not kidding. I've had nightmares where I just replay exactly the situation in my head and I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, nope, happened in real life too. Dreaming and waking, this happened. It's absolutely humiliating. But we're actually working together on a project now. It's a play titled The Racist Chess Teacher. So it's based on a true story. I went to church camp as well as theater camp. Yep, I went to both camps. Does anyone want to guess which one was the dirtier camp? You are correct. It was church camp. Yeah, I went to church camp, and I remember on the very first day, in the same room, they split up all of the girls on this side, all of the boys on this side, and then they handed out purity rings to all of the girls. And a purity ring, for those of you who don't know, it's a ring that girls put on their fingers instead of their wedding ring, and they're supposed to save themselves for marriage and make sure that they're pure. And all of the guys, while that happened, were just supposed to talk about what they wanted to pray about. So I'm with this kid, Curtis, and I was like, what do you want to pray about? And he's like, I don't want to pray. I just fingered Andrea McDowell. And I was like, cool, we are at totally different camps right now. I want to know what camp you're at, okay? So once there was a break, Curtis went and found Andrea. Andrea had a friend named Kate, okay? So me and Kate are talking, and then when there's no parents around, me and Kate went off and went over by this lake. We're sitting there and we're talking, and she looks at me and she was like, I want to that has ever happened to me in my life. Even to this day, I think about it, I get trembles. I'm just like, not anymore. Oh my gosh, Kate, you're too much. I wanted to hang out with Kate, okay? So I go home from church camp and I tell my parents, I met this girl named Kate. Can she come over sometime? And they're like, yeah, what are you guys gonna do? And I couldn't say what we were gonna do, so I just had to make it up on the spot. I'm like, we're gonna watch Rain Man. Because I saw a VHS of Rain Man in our living room. My parents get so excited, like, oh my gosh, it's such a good movie. Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman, Best Picture. Right? So they make popcorn and Kate comes over. And they're like, are you guys excited to see the movie? We're like, so excited. We go in the basement, we turn on the movie, and then the FBI warning isn't even off the screen yet. The credits aren't even done. We're like, just furiously making out, okay? And I'm waiting for Kate to give the go-ahead. And she doesn't. She just looks at me and she's like, Kevin, I was like, yeah. She said, I want you to put a finger in my vagina. And I'm like, what? Now, I'd never done that. So I followed her directions to the letter, and I put one finger in her vagina, and that was it. I just looked at her. It was like I set an egg timer and was waiting for my finger to prune. I don't know. I was like Dr. Melinda Shadowitz. I was like, Kate, this isn't weird. This isn't weird. This is totally normal. All right, we heard something up at the steps, and we went back quick. We're like, oh no, okay. So we're sitting there, and then my parents came back down, like, hey, are you guys enjoying the movie? We're like, yeah. Like, oh, what part are you at? We're like, the rain hasn't happened yet. We're okay. We're like, okay, do you need any more popcorn? We're like, no, we're fine. So they go back upstairs. We didn't get caught, and I was like, phew, okay. So we're sitting there. We're about to start making out again, and right before we do, I hear someone at the top of the steps. It's my mom and my dad. I'm like, Kevin, upstairs, now! I was like, I'll be right back. And I walked upstairs. Both my parents are there. They're both furious. They're like, Kevin, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. My mom was like, Kevin, what are you doing? And I was like, oh. She's like, you gotta move your finger back and forth, okay? She's getting nothing out of this. Now, my mom came and saw this show once, and from the back, she said, I did not say that! That is not true! And I like picking on my mom, so I was like, that, she didn't say it. She said, you may need to work the clit a little bit? Not all girls get off from penetration? Can you believe she said that? Can you guys believe that my mom is sitting right here and that she said that to me? She taught me about the female orgasm at age 13. So, when I was in 6th grade, that's when everyone in our town went from the elementary schools into the middle school, okay? And so, that is when all of the new groups formed. And I found myself in the cool group, which was very exciting. I knew I was in the cool group because I started getting invited to sleepovers. And the first sleepover that I went to was over at Kenny's house, and there was about 6 guys there, and we were going to play video games, and we were going to watch movies. It was very exciting. So we got over to Kenny's, and we were going to play Nintendo 64. We were going to play Mario Kart, okay? And then the mom rented us the movie, and it was Titanic. So she puts the movie in, we go upstairs, she goes upstairs, she's like, have fun. We're sitting there. Titanic is the worst, most boring movie for a bunch of 6th grade boys to watch. It's historical and it's a stupid love story. We're sitting there bored out of our minds, like all 6 of us. And then at about 1 hour, minute 22, second 8, Kate Winslet takes off of her top, and we saw boobs. So we're sitting there, and no one says a word, and we're just like, that is awesome. And one of the boys, Billy, gets up, and he goes, and he pauses it, and he goes back, and he sits down, and And none of us said a word. We just sat there and looked at him. And we each had our own blanket. We took our own blanket. We put our hands under the blanket. And we had the time of our life with ourselves. We just were going to town. It was just the boys and Kate. It was like our first date. And then the dynamic switches when the first boy finishes, gets up, goes and washes his hands, and goes downstairs to play Mario Kart. There are 5 of us sitting there, and there's only 4 controllers on Nintendo 64. So there are only 3 left. So there's 5 of us not saying anything, but knowing there's kind of a competitive element. The next 3 boys that finish are gonna get to play Mario Kart the whole night. And I wanted to be Wario, who was one of the fastest. What I find crazy about that is it 1000% happened. No one said anything during, after. It was like, never speak of this again. So I always imagine running into Billy again, and he like has a wife, and he's like, oh, hey, this is Kevin. We're on the basketball team together. And I'm like, and we jerked off to Titanic together. Remember? And he's like, this is my wife. His name was if anybody's interested. We're gonna bleep that out. So, the other way that I knew that I was in the cool group is because we picked on other kids. Now, I didn't usually pick on kids. The leaders were Chad and Kenny. Okay? And they just walk around school and they're just like, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay as well. That's all they would do. Anybody who was any different in any way or showed a personality in any way were different, you're gay, okay? Now, I was the funny kid of the group, so I needed to make Chad and Kenny laugh. So I would think of other creative ways to make them laugh. Like, there's a kid named Jason, and he was kind of goth, and so I spread a rumor that Jason killed dogs. And so whenever Jason would walk past, I'd be like, hey, Jason, have you killed any dogs lately? And Chad and Kenny thought this was hilarious. Now there was this other kid named Ian, and Ian was like kind of awkward, a computer programmer type, and in study hall, I'd sit next to Ian and I would just say, hey Ian, hey Ian, hey Ian, hey Ian, hey Ian. And he would say, stop saying hey Ian! And then he would get in trouble. Pretty good. Now, we were the cool group, and it was so much fun. I loved being part of this group. And then a new kid joined our group. His name was Kyle. He was also a funny kid, but his sense of humor, it was past what I was used to, okay? I was a church kid growing up. I could not have had the sense of humor that he had. I remember one time in science class, Mrs. Stevens, she was asking us about memory. She was like, hey, does anybody here have their first memory and want to share it? And Kyle was like, yeah, I remember coming out of my mom's vagina and seeing a giant bush. All right, I'm going to the principal's office. Just walked himself out. We were like, you can do that? That's insane. All right, so we go to Mr. Clegg's class for health, okay? And it's just the boys, and we can ask any question about what's going on. If we have any questions, he'll answer them. This one kid is like, I'm growing like weird hairs. And he's like, it's not weird. It's totally normal. Where are they? And he's like, look at my armpits. He's like, that's totally normal. Armpit hair is completely normal. Another kid's like, on my private? Hello? Here we go. You guys can't get worried about that type of stuff because we can edit that stuff out because it's professional. You know what I mean? Round of applause for the film crew. Round of applause for yourselves. And for being such a smooth audience to let me just slip back into the story. All right, so. The cops are coming.